Time as she may consume.
The gentlewoman from California is recognized. The gentleman from Michigan will note that there are only 3 minutes remaining of time.
Thank you, Madam
Gentlewoman
Speaker.
from California is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me first say to the chair of the Judiciary Committee, I want to thank you also for staying the course for freedom and justice and equality for so many years. Thank you, Mr. Conyers, and thank you for yielding. Let me say that I rise in strong support of H.Res 1095, and I also must thank Congressman Al Green for introducing this very important resolution, but also for his consistent voice for liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Congressman Green. The Fair Housing Act was critical in ending the rampant discrimination in the housing industry 40 years ago. Today, the Fair Housing Act continues to play a vital and significant role in ensuring fair and equal access to housing for all Americans. It is in part due to the failure, however, of this administration to enforce these civil rights laws that led to the predatory lending practices that fuel the housing crisis our nation now faces. Just like many other innovative and progressive ideas about equality and fairness, I must remind us of the fact that the Fair Housing Act had a California precursor, the Rumford Fair Housing Act, one of the first fair housing laws in the nation. Former Assemblyman William Byron Rumford, the first African-American from Northern California elected to the California legislature and whose seat I was late honored to hold, passed this landmark bill in 1963. And today I also honor his memory and his legacy. But like many today who argue that the housing and financial services industries do not need further oversight or regulation, I must remind us also that during this period, a candidate for governor over 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan, fought very hard against fair housing laws. But thankfully, Ronald Reagan lost his fight to make housing discrimination the law in California, and 40 years ago, the Congress passed the Fair Housing Act to outlaw discrimination in housing in every state of the Union. Like my colleagues, I also honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today as we pass this resolution. Unfortunately, today the promise of fair housing remains unfulfilled. De facto segregation has kicked in. Subprime mortgages have unfairly hit African Americans and Latino community and other communities of color. So we must work to educate Americans about their right to fair housing and work together to enforce the law. And we must fully fund fair housing programs to at least the tune of $84 million in fiscal 2009. So, Madam Speaker, we must recommit ourselves today to make these critical investments a guarantee for fair housing for all Americans. Housing should be a basic human right in our great country. Thank you, Mr. Conyers, and I'll yield the balance of my time for you to close if you so desire.